Hello everyone, Rest of Aquarium here. Oh, we've already got a like, that's awesome. And we've already got a snake, equally awesome. Perhaps even more awesome. But I love the likes. I'm going to change it to live chat so everybody can get in. And let's see who's there. Oh, and that's not a like, I'm wrong, it's a person. Maybe we'll get a like eventually, I hope so. But check out this snake. He just shed. Was it 2 days ago, Xander, when he shed?
Probably.
Yeah. So he's doing, now we have a like and a person, that's awesome. Yeah, he shed very recently, so he's looking pretty good. It's his 4th shed since we got him. Oh, thank you, Heather. It was Heather Jensen. You look like you're the first one in, you're the first one in the chat, and the first like. Much appreciated. So, anyway, our friend here, Mr. Skelto, has been growing quite a bit. He's just about doubled in size since we got him in October, which is kind of fun. So Heather, you are in the house, and do you have any questions you'd like to bring up? I was actually going to get his shed so I could show you his shed, and I forgot. Animal Frantic's in the house as well. Hi, and welcome. Now people are starting to pour in. Robert Gear is here as well. Excellent. Oh, now we've got lots of people. Nice. Miley, hello, and Nature Zone. Excellent. And Mr. Snake. Here's another snake. You spell it a way I think my son would probably spell it. It's the meme way to spell snake, I think. Everything Created is in as well. Oh, thank you for all the likes, everybody, so far. That's awesome. And Heather asks, what would you suggest as plants for a Betta tank? Wolf Girl plays in the house. Nice. Hi. Okay, so Heather, I'll get to your question. Betta tank kind of depends on the size, but some great plants that I have kept that I would suggest for a Betta tank. Some of the smaller Anubias are good ones. I would also say like Anubias nana or petite, something like that. Hey, Mike Taitula's in the house. It's going well. Glad to see you here. Sorry, I'm jumping back and forth. I need to concentrate for a second, and I will get to all the messages. I just want to make sure I'm focused. Sorry, everybody. I'm just so excited. So, yeah, some of the small Anubias, Java ferns are great, and some of the smaller crypts, like Cryptocoryne Wentai is a good one for Betta tanks. If you like floating plants, then I like dwarf water lettuce in a Betta tank. That's a great one too. So there's how many is that? That's 2 or 3. There's some others that I have kept with Bettas. Let's see. Some of the mosses are great with Bettas as well. You can do Java moss. It won't grow super fast with a Betta, but it's a good one. And then a lot of the stem plants are fun with Bettas. So like Ludwigia and what's another good one that's a stem plant? Guppy grass. So there's several options for you. And Robert Gear says, I forgot how beautiful the corn snake was. Yeah, I really love this particular coloration. Corn snakes have always been one of my favorites. So Miley says, I'm on vacation, hope Dad doesn't kill my $40 Betta. I hope so too. Michael Ligari is in the house as well. So Animal Frantic says, that's one beautiful snake. Thank you. Hello, Salvo. Nice to see you here. Oh, Michael is kind of close to me in Albuquerque, New Mexico on vacation. Awesome. And Mike, so yeah, snakes. That's right up your alley, indeed. I love these guys. Andrew says, is there a way to breed earthworms for aquarium food? You know, I ought to make a video on that. I have done it. I have bred a couple of different species of earthworms for aquarium food. I've done both red wigglers and Indian blue worms, but I haven't made a video about it, so I need to. But yeah, they are pretty easy to do. I would recommend doing the compost worms if you can get, and there are several species. There are some that are not particularly good for fish, but the red wigglers that I bred, I had goldfish that would eat them. I had dwarf puffers that would eat the baby ones. I had coolie loaches would like the baby ones. My bettas ate the baby ones and did really well. So if you look up red wigglers, culture, something like that, you can get some information there. And Bible WordPress says, cool snake, not a fan, but he looks nice. And Mike Taitula, most plants are fine with bettas. Yeah, really bettas can do well. That's a good point. With lots of different plants. And Heather Jensen says, I just got a free snail with some duckweed and thought about world pennywort. Oh, pennywort is an amazing plant. That's a good one to go with. And duckweed, if you want to deal with duckweed, then that, I mean, it'll grow for you like crazy with bettas usually. Duckweed, I have kind of a love-hate relationship with duckweed. I love to hate it in my tanks. Sometimes I let it grow for a while and then I realize, no, I actually didn't want that to grow in there because of what it does. It gets stuck everywhere and it's hard to get rid of. But Nature Zone says, can you keep 3 reservoirs, 3 white clouds, 2 shrimp and snail in a 4-gallon? Well, I would say that's pretty high bioload for a small tank. I mean, if you're going to change a lot of water and you have really good filtration, you might be able to do it, but my preference would be to do it in a bigger tank. That sounds like a pretty good stocking level for a 10-gallon in my opinion, but you could make it work. I'm not going to say it's impossible, but it'd be a little challenging. Let's put it that way. It also depends on the species of snail. Salvo, how's your cat? Oh, he's doing pretty well. I mean, how old is he now? He's 13. So he's not super old for a cat. He's not super young either. But I think he's starting to act like he's feeling his age a little bit, but he's still doing pretty well. Crystal's Pets, what's up? Nice to see you. Okay, Miley is going to do a cyber boop. You ready? Did you do it? Did you do it? There you go. Anyone who wants to can cyber boop the snake right now. I'm sorry, he's out of focus. It's a little hard to do with the iPad backwards like that. Okay, let's see. So, I hope everyone who wanted to cyber boop the snake got a chance. Andrew says, yes, please, looking at it to supplement for my puffer and African cichlids. Okay, yeah, I will see about doing that. It might take me a while to get to it. I'll try, but I need to do that. Everything Created says, I had 4 dart froglets in separate, 2 were together, tubs with leaf litter, and 3 died within 48 hours. And they all died in different ways. Oh, so sorry to hear that. Any ideas as to what happened? Whoa. Without knowing a little bit more about it, I don't know what to tell you, but can you tell me anything about how they died or anything like that? That would be helpful to, maybe I can figure it out if you give me that information. One lost balance, couldn't move well, one randomly molded, and one just fell over dead. Whoa. And all within the same period of time. And how is ventilation? Any commonalities in terms of like leaf litter or something that you put into their tank within, you know, the 24 hours before that happened, anything like that? That's crazy. So sorry about that. Wolf Girl Play says, all right, question. If I accidentally fed my fish the amount of food I give them in the morning, would they be okay? By the way, I feed my fish a bit of food in the afternoon. So it depends on your setup. If your setup is pretty robust in terms of filtration and you have a little wiggle room that way, and especially if you have some plants that are taking up nutrients, you'd probably be okay. But if you're at all worried about it, I would go ahead and remove as much food as you can with a gravel vac if it's already sunk to the bottom, or skim off as much as you can with the net if it hasn't, just to help with that. And if it's a little too late for either of those, then just do I do like a 25 to 30% water change, gravel vacuum to try to help improve the water quality a little bit. Fletcher Steinberg says, tailless whip scorpion update coming soon. Awesome. Would love to hear more about that. You know, I like tailless whip scorpions. And Everything Created says, I feed dusted melanogaster fruit flies daily. And okay, well that's good. That's a good thing to feed them, but we'll see how that goes. Daybird Aviaries, welcome. And Everything Created says, yes, it was Repashy Calcium Plus. That's what I typically use, in addition to a vitamin A supplement. Michael Lagari says, okay, I'll have to leave soon. My mom and I are going to develop a badge for my stepdad's soon-to-be 426 Scat Pack charger. Wow, okay. Cool, well, thanks for joining, as long as you could. Bible WordPress says, I bought hornwort for my 10-gallon tank, and it's taking over the whole tank. Works well as a water conditioner. Good thing I had another 10-gallon for my fish. Yes. Hornwort can go nuts. It grows like an inch a day or maybe even faster when it's doing well. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind. So hopefully it'll keep doing well for you, but yeah, it does need to be trimmed back pretty frequently. Wolf Girl Play says, every time I come into my room, my fish come towards me. They love me, yay! And they love the fact that you're going to feed them, so it works out really well. I I love to see that, though. It's really fun. Nature Zone says, I don't have enough room for another tank. I have 4 inches of fish in the tank. It is a paludarium for my red-eyed tree frogs. The water area is planted and filtered. Well, the plants are going to help some. Everything Created says, very little ventilation. I opened it daily. I used oak leaves. The frogs were all in identical situations, and one is doing great. I'm honestly so confused. Wow, so am I. Especially since all 4 were in identical situations, and one of them survived. That is so weird. So Aquatinsect said, what would you recommend as a good first snake? Well, this one right here is a great option. I don't feel like I can give a ton of recommendations because even though I've worked with a variety of snakes, I haven't actually kept very many as pets. I've kept garter snakes, and I've kept this corn snake as a pet. But I would say that most people recommend corn snakes in the top 3 pet snakes for a first-time snake owner for several reasons. They're super docile, super easy to feed, super available, come in a ton of colors and patterns, and really what's not to like. They're easy to take care of. They're not particularly demanding. They don't need a ton of space. They get to a good size, so they're solid. You know, this is a young one, but they get a lot bigger than this. They can get up to approximately 5 feet long, give or take a few more inches. And so that's a good comfortable size. It's not huge, so it's hard to accommodate them. It's also not too small, so they're not very delicate. So that would be one option, would be the corn snake. A lot of people recommend ball pythons, which I've worked with but never kept personally as a pet. Let's see. Those are some of the top ones right there. Those are usually the 2 top ones. I recommend, though, I think a corn snake, it depends on also if you're okay with feeding rats, because a corn snake will eat mice its whole life and will not need to eat anything bigger. That's not true of ball pythons. They're going to need to get into rats. So of course you can do frozen thawed, and should do frozen thawed, but if you're, like in our family, we don't want to feed rats because everybody loves rats because we've had pet rats. But it's not so bad with mice. Of course we use Reptilinks a lot, so there's that. Heather Jensen said, would prune leaf from houseplants be able to be used as leaf litter for isopods? Well, that's a complicated question. I would say in vivariums, like in dart frog vivariums and gecko vivariums and so on, the isopods are eating leaves that die and fall off the plants, but you're going to get a different chemical effect from the leaves if they are cut and then begin to decompose than if they die and dry naturally. So I'm going to say not all houseplant leaves would kill them, but generally it is suggested to get fallen leaves that have fallen naturally from the plant. It's going to be a more natural food for the isopods. So I'm not going to say it will kill them, but I'm just going to say that's going to be more natural and possibly better for them. So let's see. Fletcher Steinberg's asking, how's the vinegaroon? Well, both of them are doing well. They refused to hibernate this entire year. I don't think they're going to do that. Well, one of them actually kind of hibernated for a short time, but not long enough to do a whole lot. It didn't shed. So I'm guessing they're not shedding this year, and I've had that happen before. Last year they both shed. The year before that, one of them did, one of them did not. So I'm not sure what's going on there. Down the wormhole, nice to see you. And yeah, he is getting big. He's probably about double the size he was when we got him in October, actually. We didn't have a scale to weigh him, the proper kind of scale to weigh him when we first got him, but I got a scale in early December. We weighed him in early December, and he was weighing around 70 grams, and now he's around 120. And extrapolating from his growth rate, I'm thinking he was around 50 grams when we got him, and so he's more than doubled his size, which is kind of cool. Let's see. Salvo says, in your opinion, fish like goldfish, bettas, reservoirs, guppies, danios recognize the voice of the owners from the ones of strangers? Good question. It is true that they can hear certain sounds in the water, that they can pick up certain sounds, I should say. I don't know if hear is the right word, but I'm not sure. I should look into studies about that. They can certainly learn to recognize very fairly detailed visual cues, so there's that. Nature Zone says, I got some Java moss and flame moss. Looks cool. Yeah, I love flame moss too. That's one of the cooler ones. I love all moss though. Wolf Girl says, most of the time when I feed my fish, my little fish goes in the submarine. What do you think he's doing? I'm just thinking he wants to eat alone. That's interesting. I wonder why. So is it after the fish eats, or how does that work? So Salvo Smith, I kind of think we're giving little credit to fish intelligence. I agree. I think fish are more intelligent than people give them credit for. It's true. And I have trained fish to do various things. They can learn a lot. It's really interesting. Thawed Aquatics, love to see you here. Glad you love the channel. That's awesome. Thawed Aquatics, he has a really cool channel. I hope you all take the chance to check him out if you haven't already. I'm glad to have you here. I'm flattered that you joined in. Okay, everything created. Thanks for being here. Always great to have you here. Dr. Spud, nice to see you in the house. Bible WordPress says my science teacher had a king snake. Is that the one of the three most people have? That is a very popular king snake. Sorry, a very popular pet snake, and is one of the recommended snakes for beginners. It's definitely in the top 10, and they are great snakes. They can be a little food aggressive. That's basically the difference between corn snakes and king snakes, one of the differences. In other words, they might mistake you for food, so you have to take steps to make sure that they don't, which is very possible to do. But if you just indiscriminately stick your hand into the vivarium after having done nothing but stuck food in there for several weeks, you might get a nasty surprise. But that can be prevented if you just train them a little bit. So Crystal's Pet said, have a great night. Oh, everything created. Okay, talking to him there. Justin Plassmeyer says, what are your thoughts on live versus frozen thawed feeding for snakes? I am a great advocate of frozen thawed food for several reasons. The two main ones being safety of the snake and humane treatment of the food items. That's where I go with that. Mickey M, hey, you made the live chat. Glad to see you here. Looks like we got a super chat from Thawed Aquatics. That is awesome. Thank you. Much appreciated. I really, really appreciate that. And do you have any topics you want me to address, or is that just something for the tip jar? Either way, I really appreciate it. Thawed Aquatics. That is awesome. So Fletcher Steinberg, what are the best dart frogs for an 18 by 18 by 18 Exoterra? You can actually do a lot in there, but I would suggest at least thinking about the bumblebee dart frogs that I have, because they're very bold. They're a little hardier than some of the other species, so they're a good beginner dart frog. You could certainly accommodate a pair in there. So yeah, that's a good option. Okay, and Wolf Girl Play says it's while he eats. Well, I'm not sure what he's doing, but he may be trying to preserve the food, thinking that other fish are going to get after him. And thank you, Crystal, for that suggestion. All right. Down the wormhole says, your corn is wonderful. I have a little king. He is wonderful. Yeah, I love king snakes. I think a Mexican black king snake is one of my favorite. All the milk snakes, which are kind of king snake, are super cool. I love king snakes. Gwentomology's in the house. Great to have you here. And I placed my guess up on your last video, so we'll see who wins. Thawed Aquatics says, tip jar, been binge watching your videos. So that's awesome. Well, thank you. And Justin Plassmeyer says, how are your dart frog tadpoles doing? They have all grown up, and I sold the 3 a couple of weeks ago. Well, when I say grown up, I shouldn't say grown up. That's not what I mean. Sorry, that was kind of misleading. What I meant was they've all gotten to the point where they've metamorphosed and they got big enough to eat fruit flies. They were off of, they didn't need to eat springtails anymore, and they are now with a new home. So they're doing well. They got back to me. It's a local family that's also, they also watch my channel, and they contacted me and wanted to get some dart frogs. They knew I had some, and so I made sure they had a nice home with them, and they contacted me and said that they're doing well. So I was happy to hear that. So let's see. Dr. Spud said, where did the goldfish have a 3-second memory thing come from? They can remember certain things for their entire life. Their memory is just as good as that of people. They do have much better memories than people think. They can be trained to do very specific tasks and remember those tasks for a long time. So yeah, I'm not sure where that myth came from. Wolf Girl Plays says, I really want a bird, but most of them are loud. That is true. Budgies are a good option. They can be loud, but they're not nearly as loud as some of the others. Sam Smith has a corn snake too. Cool. And Gwentomology says, still no upside down tea, so there's still time for others to enter the contest. We did have 2 others molt in the meantime. Cool. So if you haven't, you can check out that contest on Gwentomology's channel. Havoc says, hey Russ, sorry for the non-snake question, but you inspired me to buy some death feigning beetles, and one of mine is no longer moving. Do these beetles molt? Ooh, that's not necessarily a good sign. They don't molt once they have reached adulthood. They only molt as larvae and then into pupae, and then that final molt is when they become a beetle from a pupa, and that's it. So if it's not moving, that's not necessarily a good sign, but they do feign death for long periods of time, so hopefully that's all it is. How long has it been that it's not moving? Let's see. Let's see. Boing. Okay. Okay. Bible WordPress says, I really enjoy your channel. Thanks for the information. Have a good night. Well, thank you, Bible WordPress, for joining in. Wolf Girl Plays said, Crystal Pets, thank you for subbing. Oh, we're talking to someone else. Sorry. Naomi Romero says, hi, Russ. I love your channel. Is there a certain color morph you always wanted for a corn snake? Well, I love the ones with the really rich red coloration. I mean, I love this one. I'm not going to complain about this. This is a hypomelanistic, we think. That's as far as we can tell. But, oh, sorry, I pushed the wrong button, everybody. There, I fixed it. Okay. But I really love the ones with the rich red colors. I love the blood reds, but I know genetically there's still some issues with that strain. I love the hypoberries are interesting. Anything with the really rich coloration I love, especially the reds. But the reds and oranges, I think, are my favorites, but they're all pretty beautiful. Let's see. Nature Zone said you should get some Gravia. That's an interesting vining plant. I would love to get some of that. It's beautiful. Heather Jensen says, any herping trips planned now that it's getting nicer outside? Definitely. We're going to be herping hopefully in 2 weeks-ish, right? 2 weeks? Yeah, we're going to go down to southern Utah, where our last herping trip was. But we're going to bring the kids this time. Last time it was for our anniversary trip, and this time it's going to be for a spring break trip for the kids. So really excited about that. Havoc says it hasn't moved for about 15 hours and it is ragdoll-like and not rigid like it normally is. Oh, that is not good news. I would let it go for a little while longer, but I wouldn't get my hopes up that it's going to recover in that case. I don't think it's... that doesn't sound good. I'm sorry to say it. Die Dark Star said, hello from France. Hello, and welcome. Glad to see you here. Gwentomology says, we lost a blue death feigning beetle, and the only way I trusted she was dead was that she smelled. And that is a good way to make sure. Yeah. So, thank you. It is a beautiful snake, isn't he? I don't know if it's a male or female yet. Way, way too old to pop, and I haven't probed it, and I'm probably not going to do that. I might get somebody to help me probe the snake at some point, but we'll see. But at this point, it's just a beautiful snake and a lot of fun. So, okay. So spring is here, but it does not look like it. I hope the snow melts soon. I want to start wearing light coats. Yeah, spring is here, finally, at our house. We're getting flowers, we're getting butterflies. It's cool. And Gwentomology says, corns are the best beginner snake, great eaters and active in your hands. Yep, I agree. You can't do much better than a corn snake. And I do love this color too. Oh, Nature Zone, maybe we should do a trade. If you're going to have some Gravia, I'll trade you for something. That would be cool. Once you have enough of it growing, that is. Dr. Spud said, I found a wolf spider outside a few days ago. It's the first one I have seen this year. It didn't run away from me, so I fed it. So I guess it's a new pet. Cool. Justin Plasmeyer said, what do you think you will find in southern Utah while herping, and what do you want to find most? Okay. Well, I'm hoping that the kids will be able to see tortoises, because there are desert tortoises down there. We saw some last time we were down there, my wife and I. So we saw a couple of them. We want to see some of those. And I would love to see some chuckwallas. There's a trail there where we can see chuckwallas. There are lots of other lizards, like they're the Shelloporus magister, one of the spiny lizards. And there are side blotch lizards. There are so many lizards down there. There are dozens of species of lizards down there. There are a lot of amphibians. There are several species of toads that we expect to see, probably. And then invertebrate-wise, hoping for some Scolopendra polymorpha, the desert tiger centipedes, possibly some vinegaroons, some scorpions, and some blue death feigning beetles. They have those down there. So What do I want to find the most? Well, I really, really want the kids to see the desert tortoises and the chuckwallas. I guess those are the two that I would love to see. And in terms of collecting, I won't be collecting any vertebrates because of the laws down there, but yeah, I might collect some death feigning beetles and maybe some centipedes while I'm down there. Hey, Varanid guy, late to the party? That's okay, because you're here. I love it. Blake. Blake is the one who got the bumblebee dart frogs, the trio of our tadpoles, our former tadpoles. And he says, bumblebees are doing great, love them. Well, thanks for joining in, Blake. Glad to see you here in the live stream and glad that bumblebees are doing well. Gwentomology says 65 degrees in Spokane today, but we still have 12 inches of snow on the ground. Well, that's an interesting combination. I've been to Spokane, it's a long time, but I used to live in Washington, but I was on the western half. But I did visit Spokane a couple times. Mickey M says, I got a baby albino corn snake for Christmas. She's so sweet. Oh, that's awesome. They are wonderful snakes. I love how he'll just, you know, when I'm on video here, he's or she is traveling around quite a bit, but often he'll just sit and chill in my hands. It's kind of fun. I love that. So, let's see. I'm behind. Let's see. And Naomi Romero says, I really like the contrast in this morph. The white belly is cute. Yeah, yeah. The contrast is great, I think, in this one. And I love how it's got the brown corn markings on the belly. But let's see if I can. If you look at different parts, you get different colors. You get almost black near the top, which is kind of funny for a hypomelanistic. You got a spot of it there. You got to see a little bit. And then it gets browner as it goes down, which is awesome.
It looks like a piano.
Okay. Let's see. Steenfod Aquatics is inquiring about Tricorina tomentosa. I have enough stock to sell some. I can make sure I'm kind of low, but I can make sure I have enough for you. Yep, I can get you some. So yeah, you can go to my About page and email me there, or you can go to my website and go to the contact page and email me there, and we'll get you set up. That would be awesome. Nature Zone says, I would trade for some of your millipedes and isopods. Yeah, we could make that work. And Crystal's Pets, 50s in Kansas. No flowers yet, though. But that's an improvement, right? Oh. Wolf Girl Play says, how's the corn snake doing? Has he or she been active lately? Very active because he just shed. Hey, Laurelyn, would you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Would you go into the pet room and on the shelf above Mr. Skeleton's cage, there's his shed. Would you bring it? I want to show it. That would be cool. Okay. So... all right, my daughter's going to bring in the shed and you can see it. Very active because he missed his last feeding because he was in blue. We didn't want to feed him during that, of course, because they often refuse food during that time anyway, and it's not a really good time to disturb them. So very active because missed a feeding, so he's going to eat today after the live stream and is doing super well. And Tristan Jokumsen says, hi, how's the Isopod Color Morph project going? Thank you. Let's check it out. Would you do me a favor, Laurel, and kind of help me show it? Yeah. This is the shed. Check it out. There it goes. The long shed. Of course, it's longer than the actual snake, but it was pretty good. Kind of broke up on the head a little bit, but the eye caps shed and everything looks good. There's just a little piece that broke off here inside the cage, but it came off the snake all fine, so it was a good shed. Thank you, Laurelyn. Appreciate it. Let's see. Oh, sorry, I bounced all the way up to the top of the chat. Let's see. How's the Isopod Color Morph project going, and what are you going to name the final morph when you're satisfied with the colors? I don't know. I'm trying to figure that out. My son, he suggested, he's the one who found the founding member of the morph. He wants to call it Night Gold, and I kind of want to give him the chance to call it that because he's the one who discovered it. We have a lot of babies now, but they're all so small and it's really hard to tell what their adult coloration is going to be like, especially in that species when they're that small. But there's a ton of babies and some of them are looking pretty indicative of some color changes. So, and Nature Zone, don't take too many animals from the desert. That is right. Luckily, I'm only going to be collecting, if I end up collecting, very, very common species, and even then I don't want to take too many. So that's always a good thing to keep in mind. Pocosaurus, hello. And Dr. Spud says, how long do corn snakes usually live? They can live a long time. They can live well in excess of 20 years. And I've heard some pushing 40, I think. I think that's kind of unusual, but 20 years is not at all uncommon. So Brandon says, that snake is really growing well. How does it like the new enclosure? Yeah, I was saying earlier that this snake has just about doubled in size since we got it. In terms of weight, is approximately doubled in weight. So yeah, it's really grown well and seems to like the new enclosure a lot. I still want to put some climbing branches in there and haven't done that yet, but I want to. So we'll get to that as soon as we can. But yeah, doing super well. All right. Oh yeah, see the corn markings. That's one of the reasons why people think they call them corn snakes. Of course, they also hung around corn cribs and places where people were storing corn and in corn fields because they were going after the rodents that were going after the corn. So that's another reason. But nobody really knows which one is the truth or if they all are. Havoc says, my corn snake is currently in its second shed. Hopefully it comes out in one piece this time. Yeah, it's always best when it does. It's a pretty good sign. The Pocosaurus, doing pretty well. Crazy busy lately, but can't complain. Things are going really well. So thanks for asking. And Steam Thawed Aquatic says, sweet, off to get dinner, but I'll email you later tonight. Perfect. Mickey M says, we have crocus and daffodils blooming in Cincinnati. Did anyone try to stand an egg on its inn today? Oh, it's because it's the equinox. I love that. I hadn't heard that before. It's possible until 3 o'clock Friday morning. I should try that. Our chickens are starting to lay lots of eggs because it's spring, so I should try it. Dr. Spud says, do adult corn snakes ever eat any large invertebrates, or do they only eat small vertebrates? Okay, well, my understanding is that generally corn snakes do not recognize invertebrates as food, although I have heard reports of them occasionally, the babies eating things like worms and stuff like that. But I don't think an adult corn snake would really be interested in the large invertebrates, but I've never tried. So Crystal's Pets, what do you sell on your website, Russ? Well, right now I'm just in the process of revamping my website, so it's kind of skeletal right now, but my price list is up there. So isopods, live food cultures, blue star endlers. When I have morning geckos available, I sell those there, that kind of thing. And I'm planning on expanding. I'm, in fact, in the background with stuff you don't see yet. I'm working on kind of a relaunch of my website. So it looks kind of bad right now, honestly, but making changes there. Wolf Girl Play says, how old is your oldest fish? Well, I think our oldest fish is probably one of our goldfish, and we've had her about 8 years, and she was probably around, I'm guessing, I know she was older than 1. I'm guessing she was more like 2 or 3 years old when we got her. So she might be around 10 or 11 years old, something like that. But we've had her for around 8, like I was saying. Carl Levin says, evening, have you ever kept vampire crabs? I haven't. I think they're absolutely fascinating. I love the fact that vampire crabs can live and breed in fresh water and never need to return to the ocean. I think that's the coolest thing ever. And that they're mostly terrestrial. Love that. So that they don't even spend all that much time in the water. That's just probably the coolest thing ever in terms of a crab. So I would love to someday, but I haven't yet. Nature Zone says, I got a Neoregelia fireball bromeliad today. Cool. I'm loving my Neoregelia bromeliads. I've got to cut the pup off of that one because it's pushing up against the glass now. And Dr. Spud says, it is interesting how snakes often shed in one perfect piece. My leopard gecko just tears pieces of skin off of herself and shoves it in her mouth. Yeah, snakes kind of have to because they don't have the whole claw thing and they can't eat it. Can't eat their skin, so it's, I mean, sometimes it doesn't work out, but it's more efficient for them to do it in one piece, which is pretty cool. A Randed Guy says, that's so awesome. My Dumeril boa is 4.5 to 5 feet long. I haven't done an exact measurement in a long time, but she's eating large rats weekly. I'd really like to get a colubrid like you have someday. Yeah, I really love the colubrids. Naomi says, got to take off early, but love this Q&A. Can't wait to catch the next one. Thanks for running such a fun, informative, and friendly channel. Love it, Naomi. Thank you. Appreciate it, and thanks for joining. Carl Levin says, how can you tell when corn snakes are sleeping? Well, that's a good point, because they don't really close their eyes. But basically, when they're holed up and inactive, it's a fairly good bet that they're sleeping, but it's kind of hard to tell, isn't it? I would say that with them, once you startle them, you know they're awake because they're moving, I guess. But you don't necessarily know they're asleep, do you? Heather Jensen says, have you ever seen a Rhaphidophora corthalzi? It is a neat shingling plant that would be cool in a vivarium. I don't think I've seen that one, but I'd love to see one. I think the shingling plants, I really like them, especially in vivariums. And the Pokesaurus says, I have a question. My fish's tank water turned green. Is this a problem? And if it is, how do I take care of it? Well, depends on the situation, but a lot of times that is just single-celled algae growing in the water. And basically it is addressing a problem. There are excess nutrients in the water and the algae are starting to take care of it. And that algae is actually really good for a lot of fish. If you want healthy fish, a lot of times you can get that unicellular algae growing in the water, and it is healthy for the fish. It's really good for them. It's not only taking care of toxins in the water and turning them into algae, but it's also seems to be the fish are ingesting some of it, and it seems to be really healthy for them as a food. So interesting. So hopefully that helps. Well, you're welcome, Crystal. And I think it's just about time to wrap up. So if anybody has final questions, I'll try to cover those in the next couple of minutes, and then we will go. So Dr. Spud says, the molly fry I bought a while, probably big enough to reproduce now. It turns out that all 5 fry were females, so I had to get a few males. Hopefully they breed soon. If you got the males, probably will soon. So yeah, you're welcome, Pokesaurus. And like I said, it's not necessarily bad. If you don't like it, there are things you can do to address it. Generally, reduce the nutrients in the water with more water changes and less feeding and things like that. But if you don't mind it, the fish are probably going to be fine. Nature Zone says, how much are your morning geckos? I usually sell them for, in pairs, sell 2 of them at a time. Of course, they're both female, but for $50 for the pair or $70 for a trio for some juvenile morning geckos. Right now, I'm waiting for another batch of eggs to hatch, so I only have 1 juvenile because I just sold off most of my other juveniles. So I just have 1 at the moment. All right, so thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. It's a good live stream. Thanks to those who clicked the like button. And thank you, Thawed Aquatics, for the super chat. That is awesome. And I'll catch you all on